Omega Force is known for creating some of the best games out of Japan with proficient fan service. With care and detail executed greatly in previous games such as Dragon Quest Heroes and Hyrule Warriors, many fans were excited to see that they would be deviating away from the regular mindless hack and slash yet still amusing nature of their previous games, diverting to what many had hoped to be a fresher gameplay experience with their adaptation of Attack on Titan. It's safe to say that with Attack on Titan, Omega Force has hit the bar of expectations at a microcosmic level, taking its source material's premise to heights way beyond what the manga and anime could execute merely by themselves. I don't think there's a single thing in the violent and bloody Attack on Titan that isn't mind-numbingly stylish. Even watching from afar as you see your comrades swarm around titans like locusts, the sense of scale and spectacle retains many hours into the game. While environments are pretty slim for a game of this kind, the sheer extent of the city and forestry will never seem to get repetitive, and swinging across the districts has to be some of the best traversal I've ever experienced since Spider-Man 2. As for the 3D maneuver gear, flying around feels less floaty and much more heavy. This comes as a great surprise, as the problem with the swinging mechanic in previous Attack on Titan games was having too much control, making the game's design seem lifeless as a result. The 3D maneuver gear in Attack on Titan for PS4, however, is the perfect balance between these terms. When getting close to a Titan, you can lock on and target different body parts, affixing anchor points and boosting with the right timing and attacks to slice off limbs. Using the 3D maneuver gear uses up gas, and you have to regularly replenish your resources, whether it is swords or fuel for your gear. With a plethora of gameplay variations resulting from a profusion of characters to play as, there's very little annoyance towards the rhythm of gameplay. The other pillar of the gameplay experienced in Attack on Titan is when you as the player plays as an ally Titan. This feels the most like Omega Force's previous games, where they give you considerable amount of power to destroy everything in your path. The way behind the Titan as it punches, dashes, and throws other Titans into crumbling buildings is unimaginably great. While being some of the most fun I've had in gaming, it's easy to see this getting tiresome pretty quickly. Thankfully, these moments are only done for story beats and come as only necessary to pick up the pacing and variety towards gameplay. Unfortunately, Attack on Titan is marred by its source material. Much of the story feels inconsistent, paced poorly, and goes absolutely nowhere for way too long. This was an issue with the manga and anime as well, as it presented a premise that suggested something incredible, but never executed correctly due to over-embellished dialogue, horrible CGI mixed animation, and forgettable plot. While adapting the story of the first 26 episodes of Attack on Titan, plus some extra bits from arcs in the manga, I can see where things could be held back in terms of player enjoyment. And while it's my personal preference to experience the story through the game rather than the anime or manga, the latter half of the story is a slog to get through as the action winds down dramatically. Attack on Titan might be one of my favorite Omega Force games. The aerial gameplay, while requiring some practice, is everything I hoped for and so much more. Visually, the animations are smooth and deliberate, leaving a great physics engine to play around with. And while its promising premise is still held back by a somewhat disappointing story, this is single-handedly the closest we'll get towards a modest execution. Attack on Titan is a must-play for fans of the series, but I would go as far to say that it's even better for those that have little to no experience with the series beforehand.